Well, hello there. Me for another one of these things. And it's a beautiful, beautiful day in Yorkshire Dales. And just setting up today, me and Phil saw 2 orbs. Yeah. So keep your eyes out and let me know if you see any more that I miss. I'm going to dive straight in here. Trev asks, there's something I've wondered about since Earth vs. the Wildhearts came out. Do you still have the original recordings of Shame on Me? I will say no, because I don't have any. I don't even think I've got a copy of Earth vs. the Wildhearts, to be honest. I'm shit at all that sort of stuff. I haven't got all of my albums, but then again, can probably need extra storage space if I got them all now. But I haven't got the original Shame on Me, but I know a man who has. Dante Benuto is a collector, but he's got everything. And we always fantasize about an ultimate version of Earth vs. the Wildhearts. Now, a few of you have asked, is there going to be an Earth vs. the Wildhearts release with all of the gubbins? Yes, we're talking about releasing it with, there's all sorts of crazy stuff. He's got me in my bedroom singing the songs for the first time long before we got the deal. And, I imagine that would be worthwhile as an extra disc on the CD package, not a vinyl or anything. But he'll have all of those outtakes from the first Earth vs. sessions. I'd like to hear all of that a lot as well. And we're also talking about doing a spoken word thing, a Q&A thing, where me and him go and tour the country, playing like the theatres that we did with Songs and Words. Some of you remember the Songs and Words tour. That was for you, those of you who don't, the spoken word thing that I did some time in my past. The point is, we played the most amazing theatres, these old theatres, and you'd be playing somewhere that, I've mentioned before, Charlie Chaplin and Houdini both played this one theatre, this tiny little place that, the dressing room was tiny. Me and Jace Edwards had struggled to fit in this dressing room. Laurel and Hardy would have played a lot of these places. So anyway, we'll talk about going back to those places. That, to me, would be the ultimate. Trev also asked, do you keep in touch with Bam and Stidi? I don't keep in touch with Stidi, but I do keep in touch with Bam. Every now and again, we, ping each other, message each other, and Bam's a great guy. Right. Richard from Wednesbury asks, I'd love to know Ginger's top 10 punk albums. Well, see, because I was into punk right when it hit. So, obviously, in my punk albums, Nevermind the Bollocks is there, because, that was my gateway. I don't know if it was Nevermind the Bollocks or Rocket to Russia by Ramones that I heard first. But that was me going from being a Kiss fan, where the whole world revolved around Kiss, to like, oh, this is different, this is interesting. The first the first band I heard was Ramones, I think, because I went to a record shop and was flipping through, said, what's this, and he gave me Raw Power by Iggy and the Stooges, and he gave me Rocket to Russia by Ramones, and I went back and I played them both. Raw Power I didn't like when I first heard, obviously, after knowing all about it and Bowie's involvement and stuff. It's a classic. I love it. But Rocket to Russia went over me like a train. It floored me. And from that point on, my Kiss records sounded a little bit, slow for a start, but also just, a bit old-fashioned. Ramones taught me that you can write a song about anything. You can write a song about toothpaste, as long as it's a good song. So Ramones was my gateway. But the Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks. Plasmatic, New Hope for the Wretched, the one in the swimming pool. I played the fuck out of that. I loved Plasmatics. All my ideas for having a ridiculous stage show would have died on the introduction of Ramones, because it all came from Kiss. Wanting bombs and stuff like that. The Ramones and Pistols might have killed that if not for the Plasmatics, who said, no, a great stage show is still cool as fuck. And so, the more that we play and the more money comes in, the bigger our stage show is going to get. That is a promise. So Plasmatics, New Hope for the Wretched, Monkey Suit, Butcher Baby. There's a solo in Butcher Baby, which is a chainsaw going through a guitar. And it sounds just like a chainsaw going through a guitar. Nowadays they just, get me a sample of a chainsaw on a guitar. Wendy O. Williams chainsawed the guitar in half in the studio. Oh, I don't know about you, but what's not to love there? I just, dedication to the cause. That's what I like. Stiff Little Fingers have got to be in there. What album? I mean, I'd say Flammable Material, but then I would have to say Nobody's Heroes, brilliant. But I'd have to say Hanks, because that was the album that really got me. And when I was a kid, the Ramones, It's Alive, and Stiff Little Fingers, Hanks was just everything. I still owe Jake Burns either a lot of drinks or a bit of money, or maybe both. But I copied a lot of stuff from Stiff Little Fingers. I took a lot of my idea of like, whoa, this is what you can do with a song. It can be punk as fuck, but it can also have an almost folk-like storytelling stroke melodic element about it. Jake Burns, one of the greatest writers. Back then, the greatest songwriter in punk. And I include Elvis Costello in that as well. Yes, I do. Controversial, but Big Black, songs about fucking would have to be in there. Change My Life. I've told you the story of John Peel saying, when I first heard Ramones and I first heard Cocteau Twins, he said he just cried. And he said, and this is another band that made me cry. This is Big Black. And I was in a taxi going home and Big Black came on and I had to ask the taxi driver to pull over to the side of the road so I could listen to it. And I just bawled my eyes out. And he said, the fuck's wrong with you, lad? And I'm like, can you not hear that? What's coming out the speaker? It's a bloody racket. And I've had that response ever since regarding Big Black. I used to get rid of all my hardcore punk and hardcore thrash friends from the room when I put Big Black on. God, this is too noisy for us, they'd say. And I'd be like, damn right, if it's too noisy, it is too noisy. But Big Black songs about fucking. Distillers, Sing Sing Death House, got to be in there. City of Angels, I heard City of Angels on a Casey Chaos, R.I.P. Kerrang! Bonus disc, back when there was magazines and CDs. Oh, City of Angels, Sing Sing Death House, my God, just killer spirit, production, songs, band, oh, really good. And, they did take a lot from Rancid, so you got to put Rancid in there. Out Come the Wolves, song after song after song. There's a couple of albums, Indestructible I really like as well. Life Won't Wait I really liked, but Out Come the Wolves. If you're going to say get a Rancid album, Out Come the Wolves is the one. The Damned, my favourite punk band of all punk bands. At the time, I was obsessed with The Damned. And, Smash It Up. If I was going to say to a punk fan which Damned album I should get, I'd say Smash It Up. But there is no bad Damned album up until Strawberries. All of those albums are amazing. I really love Music for Pleasure. Brian James was still in the band, and they had a new guy, Lou, who was in the band, who I think stayed in the band for Grimly Fiendish, which is where I went off from the Grimly Fiendish, the goth thing. But I was up until Nasty on The Young Ones. That was when I just adored the Damned. But my favourite Damned album, which isn't really a punk album, is Strawberries. I bought that the day it came out, and I don't remember playing anything else for about 6 months. I couldn't stop playing it, literally magnetised. Yeah, the Strawberries by the Damned. Bad Brains. Which one you're going to go with? Bad Brains. My personal favourite is Eye Against Eye, which is a bit metal as well. They're making that leap over the genres, which ushered in the whole New York hardcore scene, Agnostic Front, and I love Agnostic Front, but they haven't got an album that I would put in my top 10, but Bad Brains, Eye Against Eye would definitely be in there. Astounding group. And I've got to have Discharge. Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing, because that is just the granddaddy. It still sounds unbridled and insanely energetic and youthful and pissed off, but it just sounds magical. It sounds magical is the only way I can describe it. There's my 10, but I've made a little list here, and I can't have a top 10 without sticking an extra one in there, because I'm like that. And also, I can't name my favourite punk anything without mentioning Hüsker Dü, because Hüsker Dü, along with Stiff Little Fingers, informed me of so much. Again, I go back and I listen to Hüsker Dü, and I've copied so much. It's not like I sit down and I try to copy it, But I really have taken a lot of info from Hüsker Dü. Which album? Oh, I don't know. Warehouse Songs and Stories, because that's the one. You're a Soldier. He's a Woman, Now She's a Man, which we recently did a cover version of for the bonus CD. Oh my God. So yeah, there's 11 of my 10 favourite punk albums there for you. Thank you, Richard from Wednesbury. Steve H asks, since 1992, I have literally lost count of the amount of times I've seen you play either as the Wildhearts or solo. Thank you, Steve. I always have appreciated people come to see me, especially when I was solo and there wasn't tons of people turning up. Everybody there. I still remember a lot of the faces because I could count everyone, and I still recognise them when they were in Wildhearts gigs. Fucking, absolutely means the world. And you did Nottingham and Sheffield on this tour. Sheffield was good. Nottingham was great. Can you tell me what happened during the download pilot? Oh, did you get into trouble or anything backstage for leaving? Yep. I could tell straight away the sound was a bit, I imagine the last word is shit. Ugh. Right. We got out of COVID. Everybody was all over the place. We weren't fit. Everyone had been basically just, I think, drinking the whole time through COVID, like pretty much most of the country. I was just not match fit, and the band hadn't played for ages. And they said, we've got Download Festival. And I was like, no, don't do it. Let's wait until next year when the band have played some shows and we can be on the festival when it opens up properly and not like some COVID restriction festival, which I hated that whole COVID restriction, different, places for the audience to go because they couldn't touch each other. I know it was necessary at the time, but I hated it. So the Download pilot didn't want to do it. Really didn't want to do it. The management insisted that we do it. Now, the management used to insist that we did everything. We'd turn up for the opening of a bloody envelope, and I hated it. It wasn't showing the band in our best light, and this was no different, except there was loads and loads of people watching, and it fucked the band. I don't think we should have done it. We weren't even getting on backstage. We went on the stage. The sound was unbelievably shit, to the point where you just couldn't hear anything. Everyone was unprepared. And there was bands that just had this crazy touring schedule before that, and they were, and were a bit more technologically advanced than us. That really made it work. Skindred really cleared up on that one, and it benefited them that way. And this one fucked us up going exactly the same speed the other direction. It was a massive mistake, and at the end, I couldn't have been more heartbroken that we screwed up our major chance, but it was something I didn't want to do. I still to this day think that was a fucking stupid idea. So there you go, Steve. Colin Finity asks, you seem to have a rocky relationship with the island of Ireland. Any plans to bring the new line up for a visit? Absolutely. I don't know about plans because we're going through a little bit of a don't know what's going on. We're going to make it so we do know what's going on. But I want to come back to Ireland without a doubt. There's a lot of Ireland I haven't seen. Really, really need to travel around Ireland without a doubt. And Northern Ireland as well. Every time we play Belfast, it's brilliant. And every time I get out of Belfast, I get in trouble. I don't know what it is, but I love Ireland and it doesn't love me very much. And because I'm English, if I end up in an Irish court, the judge is going to be extra cuntish to me. And the last time that it happened, it was an altercation. It was a bit of a fisticuffs between two blokes. I mean, fucking hell, two blokes have a fight. They're both innocent or guilty, or it doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? In bars as well. In Ireland, I would imagine that Ireland was like Newcastle. There's quite often a fight. Anyway, I end up in court and this guy slaps a 3-year suspended sentence on me for getting in a fight. Now, you don't get that for a lot of way more heinous crimes. I've seen some horrible stuff that people do to people that has had a more lenient sentence than that. So I was made an example of because I think geographical reasons. I'm English and the guy didn't like the English and fucked me. So I don't know. I have got a love-hate relationship with Ireland. I love it and it doesn't like me. I hope that changes. I'm prepared to go on another date with it, maybe 2 dates. The love affair is not over. Let's put it that way. Ian asks, I love getting as many of the shows as possible, but almost always the same set list. Yes, it has been that case with some lineups only because, if one person in the band doesn't want to learn any new songs, it doesn't matter. You're not playing any new songs. But yeah, it wasn't always the case that people were really excited about playing different songs. I would love it if you would practice 40 songs and change the set list every night, because that's what Pearl Jam do. We'll put some new songs in, but learning 40 songs, 40 Wildhearts songs. Honestly, you learn 40 Wildhearts songs and then I'll get the band to do it. But yeah, we will always put brand new songs in the set list without a doubt, because it's great fun, and some of them work amazing live and you didn't even know. They were just great album tracks. Nothing is better when you play a deep cut and the audience fucking really responds. Did that recently with Inglorious we played. And that riff, the beginning, da 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 da. What the audience started singing the riff. I've never heard anyone do that before. You don't get that from listening to the record. But the audience all started singing the riff. It was weird. It was like the first time I've heard AC/DC bootlegs before they started shouting Angus. And then one show, it must have went da 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 Angus, da 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 da. And then it became that. So yeah. Always want to play deep cuts, album tracks, live, just to see what you lot do. So, count me in for that one. Ken asks, do you use any guitar pedals? If so, which ones? I know some old school guitarists such as Angus Young don't. I wondered if you did or didn't. Yeah, I do use some pedals, but I don't know what they do. So I don't have like a flanger and a distortion and a chorus and a whatever, Step on that one because there's that part in this. I collect pedals that just make noise. So I have a sound through the amp, and that's the sound that you hear. And then if there's a riff coming in, I have a mixture of the red one that makes a loud noise. If there's a solo coming in, I have a boost that makes it louder. If there's a really gnarly riff coming in or a really gnarly part, I step on the cunt pedal, which is a pedal that just says cunt on it. I've no idea what make it is. And I have another black one that does something else funny. Oh no, it's a pog. I have a pog that makes things, it's a harmonic thing that makes octaves. I do have a little mini wah-wah pedal that I used to use live, but it doesn't always work and it fucks the circuit. So I use that in the studio. But yeah, they're my pedals. I'm fucking useless. I did tell you. Also from Ken, do you remember the first time you met Lemmy? What was your experience like? And did you ever see Sucker Punch? This is a funny one. I found out one of my first girlfriends who used to live in Washington, CD, County Durham, not DC, America, went to live in Los Angeles, became a porn star, went out with Vince Neil and all these stuff, but ended up Lemmy's girlfriend. And I didn't know this until we got on tour with Motorhead. He told me one night. But she used to play him the Wildhearts all the time. So he did like the Wildhearts. I don't know if he liked Sucker Punch, but he did like the Wildhearts. In fact, he asked for us to do the tour based on the fact that we were the most fucked up pop band you'd ever heard, which coming from Lemmy, that is just thank you very much. But apparently he came to see us live, and it wasn't for 8 people. You say, I saw Lemmy in the crowd. And I'm like, I'm sure it was someone that looked like Lemmy. And then later on, an agent confirmed it. But first time I ever met Lemmy, I was a little kid, and it was the Overkill or Bomber tour. Don't remember which. Probably the Bomber tour. And their bus pulled up, and I ran to the front of the bus and I waited at the doors. And my memory remembers the doors opening like a bus, but obviously tour buses don't open like that. So I'd filled in some of the gaps, but the door opened and there was Lemmy, all 12 foot tall of him. And I was a little kid, and it was in that transitional period between Kiss, Ramones, Pistols, and Motorhead came afterwards. But Motorhead was my favourite band for a long time. But I had a Kiss patch on my denim jacket. And the first thing that Lemmy ever said to me, in all of the words that we ever had, was, "How can you respect men who wear makeup?" And I was crestfallen. I remember I was heartbroken. I expected, something to come out of Lemmy's mouth akin to an Oscar Wilde quote or something. But the fact that he was weird about men wearing makeup. I did pull him up later on this, after he got Pete Gill on drums who used to wear makeup. And Lemmy's done loads of stuff where he wore makeup. I was watching an Orgasmatron video where he was singing lead vocal and he was all covered in this kind of death metal, kind of Hawkwind makeup. I think Lemmy just was looking for, a stupid thing that he said. But it really affected me. I was just like, Lemmy doesn't wear makeup? Well, I've got to rethink my life. Turns out it was a load of nonsense. But that was the first time I ever met Lemmy, and the worst time. First time was the worst time.